Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
As I was
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. As I was just sharing, sorry for the delay in starting today. My too many things going on, and my kids are leaving for college after their spring break today, and that's been on my mind, and other things as well. So before we start, let us recite the Mangalacharan prayers. I will open the browser and we will recite that in just a second. Share screen. Okay, there we go. Okay, those in the room can feel free to recite along with me here. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tharine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining and giving me this chance to think about Bhagavad Gita, read it again and again and again. I liked doing this, and my wife makes fun of me because she says, oh, we'll start another batch. And this time, no problem, all the material ready. So then, but I just create new material, new slides, new everything. Then she says, you say that every time, it will be like no extra work for you, but I take on a lot of extra work. I like doing that because of all of you. You are here in the class, and I feel like, I should read the Bhagavad Gita again. And then I feel like, maybe I can share it in this way or that way or that way. It's a beautiful experience for me to think about it and to prepare, and also to share it with you all. So it's not just this, but all the time preceding is also very, very enjoyable. So thank you for giving me that chance to do this. Okay, so let us start. So today we are going to start chapter 8. And let me share my slides here. Okay. Okay, can you see it on Zoom? All right, thanks. Okay, so we are going to start a very, 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 very important chapter today, chapter 8. So if you remember this entire section, and before we start, yes, I will pause for 2 minutes in the middle because my kids will be leaving for the airport. So I just want to say bye to them as they leave, whenever they're absolutely at the moment when they will leave. So we'll take a 2-3 minute break. I wanted them to be done before 5, but packing and this and that took a lot of time. So it's like, okay, we can go do it in the middle of the class. No worries. So chapter 8, an extremely important chapter. It's called Attaining the Supreme. And a lot of just phenomenally important concepts will be covered in this class today. So let's get started. I want to cover. Are you like in the car? Get in the car. In the front. Okay. Okay. So before we get started, I'll take a quick 1 minute break, 2 minute break here. I'll just pause my video. Don't go away. Just stay here. Okay. All right. Sorry about the interruption. And there was something that I thought, but I forgot. I don't know. Anyway. So okay. So just a quick
You have to start recording again.
no, I'm already recording. Huh?
Yeah, it's recording.
It's recording. Yeah. So, as we said, from chapter 7 onwards, Bhakti section starts, Bhakti Yoga. And within that as well, there is a slight, Lord Krishna is being very systematic for us to introduce the Bhakti section. First, before chapter 7, we started with, second chapter was an overview. Third chapter was Karma Yoga. Fourth chapter was Dhyana. Fifth chapter was a combination to explain us. Can I turn on this thing? Was a combination of how to do karma with jnana. And then sixth chapter was dhyana. So chapter 7 here, as you see, jnana chapter 8 Dhyana, and chapter 9 Bhakti. So these three vertical arrows, I should have said here 7, 8, and 9. Jnana, Dhyana, and Bhakti, but Bhakti is mixed in all of them. So chapter 7 really is Bhakti Jnana. You following? Then Lord Krishna is synthesizing. So in chapter 7, Lord Krishna has synthesized Jnana with Bhakti. So what did we get to know in chapter 7? What was the title of chapter 7? Anybody knows?
Absolute truth.
No,
Dhyana Yoga.
Knowledge of the absolute. So it is about knowledge of Krishna. So a detailed knowledge of who is Krishna was present in chapter 7. So that is Jnana about Krishna. That makes it Bhakti. Not Atma Jnana, not Sankhya Jnana, not any kind of other Jnana. You can come here, Mataji. Occupy the space. Then chapter 8 is about meditating or remembering Krishna. Instead of remembering or putting your dhyana at the tip of your nose, okay, or focusing on many other possible things as described or as prescribed by what is known as Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, here we remember Krishna, focus our mind on Krishna. So that becomes Bhakti Dhyana. Anything that is in relation to Krishna is Bhakti. All right. And then from Jnana, we came to Dhyana, and then we came to Bhakti. Chapter 9 will be Bhakti squared. It will be Bhakti and Bhakti. So chapter 9 is therefore, we are all building up towards chapter 9, which is the one of the most, not one of the most important chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So this chapter 8 that we are planning to cover today is Bhakti Dhyana. All right. Meditating on Krishna. So the title of the chapter that is given is Attaining the Supreme. By meditating on Krishna, how we attain Krishna. That is going to be the topic of chapter 8. And this is how 7, 8, and 9 are sort of arranged thematically. This is the sort of the central theme. Okay. Now, this one I will want to cover a little bit quickly. There are 6 technical terms that were mentioned by Lord Krishna at the end of chapter 7. This is not super important at this point to understand Bhagavad Gita conceptually, but for sake of completeness, I am covering this. So in 4 verses, 8.1 to 8.4, Lord Krishna is going to, or first 2 verses are Arjuna's questions. These 6 terms, brahman, adhyatma, karma, adhibhuta, adhidaivam, and adhiyanjna. What are these 6 terms? And Lord Krishna quickly answers these 6 in the next 2 verses, 3 and 4. So 1 and 2 is Arjuna's question, and 3 and 4 are Lord Krishna's answer. So let's just quickly review those 6 terms. Okay, and that will cover the 4 verses. Brahman, that is one thing that Arjuna asks. What is Brahman? Brahman is the spiritual living entity, the soul. All right. Now, Brahman is also called that the spiritual element, okay, which is present in the outside the material world. Now, it's not like I think I mentioned this in this class. Brahman is not just, did they come back?
No.
Okay, that's one thing now I'm worried that they've forgotten something and they'll come back to pick it up. So that has happened multiple times. So Hare Krishna, please come, Mataji. You can sit somewhere here or don't feel free to.
No, so you can sit here. It's okay.
The TV is at a little bit of a height, so don't worry. They can all see the TV, even if you sit kind of. Okay. Since few of you were coming in person, then we replaced those chairs with these. This is our regular arrangement for the living room. To make it into a bigger classroom, we moved all this out and brought in the chairs. But then fewer people started coming, so we changed it. So make yourselves comfortable. Okay. So Brahman is present everywhere, not just outside the material world, but everywhere. Outside the material world, it is just Brahman because there's no matter. Matter is perishable. That will come little later. So Brahman also is the spiritual element, and therefore it is also referred to as the soul, because our soul is also fully spiritual. Clear? Adhyatma. Adhyatma is another Sanskrit word which refers to the spiritual element. In Sanskrit, if you see, Lord Krishna will say adhyatma is the swabhava of the Brahman. Swabhava means the nature. Ultimately, it is the same, eternal and spiritual. Anything spiritual is eternal. Material is perishable or temporary. So adhyatma is the nature or the quality of the Brahman. Basically, it is eternal and spiritual. Generally, it is used in the form of adhyatmik jagat, we say in Sanskrit. Adhyatmik jagat means what? What could be the English of that?
Spiritual world.
Spiritual world. And then with opposite of that, we say bhautik jagat. Bhautik jagat means what? Material world. So adhyatmik jagat means spiritual world. Okay. So the spiritual adhyatma is spiritual nature. Okay. Karma. How the LE, what does LE mean? Living entity. It's right there at the top. Okay. So how does the living entity get entangled into the material world? Through karma. Okay. It performs certain actions, certain reactions are generated out of it. All right. And that binds the living entity. Okay. It could be pious reactions or negative reactions, either way. So in a sense, this is sort of a quick review of everything that we have done so far. Adhibhuta is the nature of this is the bhautik jagat, the nature of the material world, which is perishable. Then adhidaiva. Adhidaiva means the controller of all the devatas in the material world. Which is who? Who is the controller of all the devatas in the material world? Krishna. Specifically in his universal form. Yes. Okay. In his universal form, which is also known as the Vishwarupa form. Don't worry about it. We will cover it in chapter 11. And adhyajna, who is the controller, who is the Lord? Adhyajna, the receiver or the benefactor of all the yajnas. Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna is also as Paramatma, the receiver of all the sacrifices that we do. Anything that we do, ultimately he's the receiver, whether we do it with that consciousness or not. Okay, so these 6 terms have been covered. Now Arjuna did not just ask these 6 terms in the first 2 verses. He also asks another very important question, because that was referred to in the previous slide or in the previous chapter. Till your last breath, do my bhajan. We covered this. I'm now going to the previous 7th chapter slides. Do my bhajan, bhajate mam dridhavrataha was the very important line. And then he says, Lord Krishna said that prayana kalecha api mam. Keep doing this till prayana kala. Prayana kala means till the time of death. So keep doing this and then you will know me. So Arjuna is asking the question, a very important question as well in 8.2. And that very important question is, what does it mean to know me at the time of death? What is the meaning of that? Okay. And the rest of the chapter 8 is more or less can be considered and answered. Lord Krishna will answer that question very quickly. But all of chapter 8 is an answer to this question. And this is the most important question Arjuna has asked so far. Arjuna has asked several questions. This is the most important question that we will deal with, to which chapter 8 is the answer. Okay, very important question. Everybody ready? Everybody wake up. Very important. So very, very important And that's why I said on the WhatsApp before this call, for this class today, very important class, a very sobering discussion and a very contemplative discussion. Okay. So we will talk about a very important topic, okay, which most of us don't want to talk about, which is death. Okay, so 8.5 is a seminal verse, a verse of paramount absolute importance. Okay, and it tells us how to die. All right. So let us read 8.5. Hare Krishna. Please come. Come here somewhere so we can have eye contact. And I'm just letting you know, I don't require masks. You want to wear it, totally fine with me. But in this house and for me, I'm fine with it. If anybody has a problem, please honor that. But I don't personally. But you're all my guests. So you're my atithi devo bhava. You're my worshipable guests. All right. Okay. So how to die? So 8.5. So please, I hope all of you have your Bhagavad Gitas with you on your smartphones or iPads or paper copy. Please open 8.5 and let us see this verse. If you want to grab a Bhagavad Gita Parnika, you're welcome to. There are lots of them kept there. You can. That's fine. If you anybody wants, there are some kept over there. Antakale cha mameva smarana muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra sanshayah. Maybe we can all repeat this verse. Please repeat who are in the room. Antakale cha mameva smarana muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra sanshayah. So let us dissect this verse. Let us do a complete surgery on this. It's very important for you to understand this. Antakala. What is Antakala? Time of death. So at the Antakale cha, mam is what? Krishna. Very nice. Eva, very important word. Eva. What does Eva mean?
Alone.
Only. Alone or me alone. So one-pointed. Krishna has spoken about one-pointedness so many times in the Bhagavad Gita. Mam Eva. Smarana. Smarana, what does Smarana mean? Remembering. At what time? So at the Antakal, and specifically more at the Antakal can mean like, okay, you know, my mom is 87 years old. She says, ab mera Antakal aa gaya hai. But then she's, you know, happily, you know, eating puris and halwa and all the fun things. So Antakal can mean like, you know, long time. Smarana, Smarana, Muktva Kalevaram. Kalevaram means what? Body. Muktva means when the soul is getting separated. Mukti doesn't mean mukti only as moksha mukti. Mukti just means separation. When we say mukti, which means separation from the material world. When the soul gets separated from material world, we call it mukti because you have now got mukti. Okay. But mukti can also mean any kind of separation. If let us say, you know, somebody has a disease, or let us say somebody has a very grumpy neighbor, and let's say he moves out of the house. Chalo mukti mili. ये बहुत परेशान करता था ये पड़ोसी. चला गया, mukti mili, isn't it? So mukti just means some kind of detachment. So muktva kalevaram, when the soul gets mukti from the gets detached from the body, kalevaram. Specifically at that time of death, at the last moment. Yah prayati sa madbhavam. So one who so So let's look at this. Antakale cha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram. At the specific point of death, one who remembers me, mam eva smaran, one who does only my smarana. At the time of death, what happens? Yah prayati sa mad bhavam. To such a person, prayati means he gets or he attains my nature. Mad, again, second time Lord Krishna is using a reference to himself. Mad bhavam. He attains my nature. Okay, which means he goes to the spiritual world. And I think we talked about various kinds of mukti. Samipya, salokya. Did we? Okay, I will talk about it. I don't want to lose the focus from here today. So, yah prayati sa mad bhavam. Such a person attains me. And then Lord Krishna is doubling down. Don't doubt this. Do not doubt it. Yati na asti atra samshayaha. Na asti, there is not. Yati, in this statement, samshaya, doubt. There is absolutely no doubt in this statement. Lord Krishna is doubling down and re-emphasizing this point. You following? So what is the meaning of this whole verse? And Srila Prabhupada's translation is, and whoever at the end of his life quits his body, at that moment quitting the body, remembering me alone, only, at once attains my nature. Mad bhavam. Of this there is no doubt. Okay? You following? So that is the meaning of this verse. So this is the way to die. How to die? This is the best way to die. Okay. Now, Srila Prabhupada, who is the author of the translations and commentaries on Bhagavad Gita that we are reading, he wanted that when he leaves his body, the video should be recorded. And his disciples recorded his video. You can YouTube, you can Google, and you can search. You can see. I mean, it's not like he was like, it's not a drama performance or anything. You know, whenever he was leaving the body, it's a sober moment. And you can clearly hear his last breath. He said Krishna. And at least if you look carefully, you can see his body then became still and he left. So acharyas, who is an acharya? Acharya is one who shows his achar. Achar means behavior. So till the last breath, acharyas show or, teach others. They are teaching till their last breath. Even in his last breath, he was demonstrating 8.5 to all of us. And by that time, video cameras and all had been built. Our previous acharyas also must have done the same. Of course, there were no cameras at that time. Okay. So this is the meaning of this verse. And then, so one who remembers Krishna at the last moment attains Krishna. Okay, sounds like a good deal, right? So we will talk about that. But before we go further, let us talk about 8.6 as well, because together we need to talk about these two verses. So 8.6, what happens after death? So we already discussed here, if you leave the body, remembering Krishna, then what happens? What happens?
You'll attain Krishna.
You go to Krishna. Simple. I'm not asking a complicated question. You'll go to Krishna, attain Krishna, go to the spiritual world. All one in the same, let's say. Okay. All right. But what if you think about something else? That also Lord Krishna is saying. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyatyante kalevaram tam tam eva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. So yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Yam yam means this or that, whatever. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Whatever you remember, smaran. Again, the word smaran is coming. At the time of tyajyatyante kalevaram. Tyajya means to give up. Tyaktva, tyaj, tyag, they are all having the same root, to quit. Kalevaram, again the same word, kalevaram. So yam yam vapi smaran, whatever you remember, this or that, whatever you remember at the time of tyajyatyante kalevaram, quitting your body. Tam tam, that. Tam tam evaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. That bhava you will attain. So if you think about me, you will come to me. Whatever else you think of, that bhava you will attain. Okay? So that bhava you will attain. It doesn't mean if you quit your body thinking of Bill Gates, you will become Bill Gates in the next life or a billionaire. That's not what it means. I will explain that also. Okay, but not going into all these what if scenarios. Okay, what if I think about this? Sounds like a lottery ticket. You know, we all have our desires to become a billionaire or to become a film actor or Shah Rukh Khan or I don't know, whoever's the latest and greatest. And I'll think about that and I'll, you know, it sounds like a, you know, some kind of a, you know, genie, or what do you call that? Aladdin and the genie, you know, ask for whatever you want and next life you will get that. It's not that. Because why is that? Death is a very, very sobering moment. Okay, so I want to tell you a story. You all ready to hear a story? So, how many of you have seen this movie, Citizen Kane? I've seen it after I came to know about it through a similar kind of a class. It's from the 1940s. From the poster itself, you can kind of make out. Okay? It is the story of a very, very rich man. A very, very sort of a rough correlation is made between this person, Citizen Kane is a fictional character, to Rockefeller. Have you heard that name, Rockefeller? He was the Bill Gates of his time or whatever, you know, the richest man for many, many years at his time. And he was, I think, the founder or the owner of JP Morgan Chase Bank. And he was a big banker. And I think he got married to the daughter of the president of the United States and all kind of, you know, man of money, power, and everything that you can desire for. Okay. So at least in the movie, that's what it is shown as. Very powerful man, very, very, everything that anybody wants was in this man. And I don't know if you can see the zoomed in version, but there were people who loved him. There were obviously haters as well. Every popular person has people who don't like him. And basically at his point, from his point of view, he was very successful. Very successful. So the movie starts with his death. He is shown dying in the first scene of the movie. Okay. And a bunch of his relatives and friends are standing near him. Basically, the idea is to read his will and see who gets what. Not that they loved him. But, you know, when he's dead, then, okay, let's open up the will and see who gets what. So he dies. Okay. Just before death, he utters one word. What is that word? Rosebud. He utters that word, rosebud, and then he dies. Okay. And then they read the will. Are you following the story so far? Then they read the will and whoever gets what and everything. But everybody is wondering, what is the meaning of this word? And what is there on people's mind is that, yeah, everybody got some piece of the wealth or property or something, but this word must be something super important. If we get to know that word, we will get all his hidden treasure. He probably has some treasure hidden away somewhere. Come here, Prabhuji. यहाँ आके बैठ जाइए. Mataji is also there. You can come sit anywhere. Yeah, unless you feel too hot or something. It's fine. So they were very, very curious about this. And then everybody tried for some time to find out, but they couldn't. Then one journalist was standing there. And he said, journalists run after stories, they get a clue and then they run after it. And maybe there is something. That's what they are paid to do. So this journalist started trying to find out what is the meaning of rosebud. It's the last word that the richest and the most powerful man on earth, so to say, uttered. Must be the key to something super important. Okay. So then the entire movie is a flashback. It starts from his childhood. So he starts researching, because if there's only one way to find out is to just know everything about the man that is there to know. So he starts researching from the childhood where he lived. He goes there and he talks to people and so many things. And his life, this guy, Citizen Kane, his name is Kane, and he's known as Citizen Kane. So in his childhood, he was just an ordinary boy, and his mother, and they were kind of, his father deserted them. I don't remember the exact story. You can watch the movie if you want. Their father left him. He was kind of, happy, sad, or something like that. But he was having a normal childhood. Then what happens is some poverty hits, or some uncle dupes them. Something bad happens. His mother also leaves to go somewhere and do some work in a different city. This child is left alone, and he just keeps playing around and something. Then something else happens, again, I'm fast forwarding. This child then has to leave his happy, so to say, his situation where he was having a good time. And that is, I think, the time when the uncle comes and says, come on, let's go to the city. I'm going to take you to the city. So that's this picture over here. His uncle is talking to him. He doesn't want to go, but he's forced to go. And then he starts becoming a man, a self-made man, like whatever, Dhirubhai Ambani or whatever, self-made man, or Narendra Modi, from Dhirubhai Ambani, like it said, he used to say, I was a petrol pump guy. I used to fill gas at the gas station. And Narendra Modi says that I used to sell tea on the railway station to Prime Minister or Dhirubhai Ambani, the richest man in India, and all those, like a mega success story of a self-made man. He was that kind of a man. Okay. And this journalist goes through the entire life history of this person. Okay. And then he cannot find, till the very end, he cannot find what is the meaning of rosebud. So his project, basically his whole journey, is a failure. And then they come back to that scene when he is dying. Same scene is repeated. They see him dying. Again, he is shown uttering that word. What's the word? Rosebud. And he dies. And then they cannot figure it out. And then, after some time, they are just cleaning up his house, his old house. They go to the basement. All his junk is kept there, as is in any basement or garage, right? And these cleaners, people who clean the house, they were just taking all the junk and just burning it up to make space to sell the house or whatever. And this is the last scene. I don't know if you can see, they're just burning it up, burning up some stuff. And here, I don't know if you can see this, but there is do you see this little boy holding a snow sledge? That's what he used to play with. He used to live in Chicago, where there's a lot of snow. So that was his favorite toy. And he left that toy in his home, became a big man. And then they show that, these cleaners take that snow sledge and throw it in the fire because it's a piece of junk. And on that snow sledge, there is a little metal tag on it, which says Rosebud. And that's the end of the movie. Nobody could figure it out. The audience figures it out. But in the movie, nobody is able to figure it out. So what does this show? Why did I tell this story?
Whatever you are to attach to, you will remember that at the end of the moment without thinking, because your mind is gone.
Very nice. I hope people on Zoom, did they hear what she said? That was, even though he became such a big man, what he was really attached to his entire life, what he was thinking of, what he was missing was his childhood life and his little toy. That's what he was attached to. That's what he was missing. His whole becoming a big man of so much money and fame and power was more or less forced on him. And yes, we do get sucked into it. It's not like he was trying to get out of it. Obviously, he got sucked into it, got married to the president's daughter, was obviously enjoying, but his heart was still attached to the life of his childhood. So the question is, what are you most attached to in your life? That is the question. You have to think about this. All right. So let me go to the next slide. Again, we'll stay on 8.5 and 8.6. So death is, I'll come to questions. I see one hand raised. I'll come to questions soon enough. Death is just a gateway to the next life, isn't it? That's what we just saw in 8.5 and 8.6. Either you will go to the spiritual world, yes, if you think about what?
Krishna.
About Krishna. Or you will stay in the material world and take another body if you think about something else, something other than Krishna, something material, like a rosebud, like a snow sledge. And maybe he'll take birth in a, snow sledge factory as a, little insect, he'll be bit amongst thousands of snow sledges. He can enjoy being in the company. He was missing that snow sledge, right? He will be eternally, his life will be among stacks and stacks of snow sledges. Okay. Or something like that. So Srila Prabhupada says, that sometimes I think about money. If I die thinking about money, what will happen? And Srila Prabhupada said, maybe you'll be a little insect in a mint. Mint means where money is printed,
Because you will be eating it. And
you'll be like almost swimming in money. Like you say, no, I wish I could swim in money. Krishna will literally make you swim in money. You'll become an insect in a mint, maybe. So either you go to the spiritual world or you will stay in the material world in a different body. This is the importance of our final thought. Our final thought is very important. Okay. So the question is, what might be, now you might be thinking, how to control, what will I think, right? How to control that final thought at the time of death. So for that, we must understand, it's not like I'm trying to make you sit here and say, in this comfortable situation with the fireplace on, nice and, warm and fairly comfortable. There's a nice couch to sit if you want. And then think what you want. It's easy. But that's not the deal. The deal is, what will you think at the time of death? So what is that experience of death? Has anybody experienced it? No. And it's not an experience which anybody else can either share, isn't it? It's not like an experience of, losing a loved one. People can share about it, what it feels like to go through some pain, because they live to share it about it. Death is something that not much is known about. So that's why I have used the word might. So is anybody, happily ready to die here? Now we all know we have to die. That is a theoretical aspect. But is anybody happily ready to die? Probably not. So it's not an experience that you are looking forward to, isn't it? So what might be that experience like? You don't have to answer. Take 30 seconds and just take 1 minute and think about it. In the last 6 months, how many of you have taken 1 minute in the last 6 months to think about a question like this? Anybody? Has anybody forced you to or prompted you to think about this question? Surely you have thought about where I'm going to go for vacation this summer, but not about this. So take 1 minute and think. I'm going to be quiet. Okay. Whatever you thought, you have thought. Next question. Now that you have potentially have thought about, now you may not have a clear idea or even a remotely clear idea, but still you gave it a thought at least. What might you remember at that final moment? Think about that. I'm not asking what might you want to remember. What might you actually remember? And that goes back to the previous question. That's why I told the whole story. Are these easy questions or are they unsettling questions?
They're not easy.
Unsettling.
Unsettling. So let me tell you, how to predict. Now you cannot know. You will only know when you face your last moment. But let us say, how can you predict? Now, there is a way to predict. There is a way to predict. Prediction may be not very accurate, but some rough prediction. Like, maybe it will rain today. Kind of like that. How to predict?
Constantly remembering one thing, and that will become your inner conscious, and at the time of death.
Okay, wait. How to predict as of now what you will remember. Okay, kindly mute yourself if there's some background noise. I don't know whose is it. Okay, so we all want, or I'll go back to the other question, though I stated the question very carefully, what you will actually think, not what you want to think. But most of the time, very soon after this class, or when this sort of soberness of that I have built up in this class will go down, and you'll all go back into your happy lives and, with your children, family, everything nice and good, the thought will become like, I have more time, or I can do it. I will remember Krishna at the time of death. Okay, that's like saying, who's that player? Anybody can recognize? From our times, I was contemplating whether to put Tendulkar or Dhoni or Virat Kohli, depending on the audience, but and this picture is of a match when on the last ball 4 runs were needed and he happened to hit a 6 on the last ball. Okay, and he hit a 6. So we think that in that last ball of the last match or whatever, last ball of the last over, and you have to do that. That's my that's my one ticket to fame and glory and lifting the, this wasn't any World Cup or anything, but I'm just making it up, to fame and glory, to lift the World Cup. How many of you, if I put you on the cricket field, it's not like by lottery, okay, I have full control. Let me say that, I could do that. Can you hit a 6 on the last ball of the last over in the match winning series, trophy winning ball?
It's a lot of pressure. Unless you've not practiced day and night and think about it.
Exactly. Who can do it? Who can do it? What kind of a person would you bet your money on doing that kind of a feat? Tell me.
Professional.
A professional like Tendulkar, not. There are so many professionals. Somebody who is like Arjuna, like Tendulkar, like whatever, and they have done this throughout their life. That's what they have done. And it's not like you and me, if we are thrown into that, oh yeah, I'll do it. You know that on the last ball of the last match, this is what will be needed. I'll do it. Oh yeah, last moment, I'll think of Krishna. It's so simple. I can think of Krishna right now. Can't I think of Krishna? Krishna. So when I can do it now, I can do it then. What's the problem? So how to predict? Can you do that? Maybe you can. So I have a test for you. How many of you might have been in a car accident? Or maybe, so raise your hands, keep your hands raised. How many of you have been in a near car accident, like just missed? Almost everyone, right? Just missed, like, oh my God. One fraction of a second plus or minus, I would have it would have been a direct hit. Has happened to everyone. Now, those of you who are aware, now many of you are not aware of this theory that is being discussed in Bhagavad Gita, but try it out. Next time such a thing happens, of course, we must think of Krishna all the time. Okay. How soon does the thought of Krishna comes to your mind? In how much more time? I have done this experiment on myself many times, and I have told all my past students to do this. There is one of very good friend very recently, and in my case, I'm getting a little better. But that thought of Krishna does not come instantly in my mind either. Maybe after 1 minute, oh, I'm good, I'm saved. Okay, I come to the side and I stop the car, take a breath. Oh, Krishna. Then thought comes. If there would have been a direct hit, then game would have been over by now. Where is the thought of Krishna? 1 minute is too late. When the ball comes, you have to hit it in that instant. The post-match analysis is very easy. Oh, he could have done that if he just tilted the bat a little bit like this, or the front foot was here, or the back foot. And all these analysis people, they make a lot of money, talking all nonsense. The front foot and back foot and little bit more pressure and the body angle and this and that and this. When you're on the field, it's a whole different game. So we will be on the field of death once, and we have to think of Krishna in that moment. So please think about it. One of my very close friends who has been attending these kind of classes for many years, when the snowstorm or whatever occurred here and all the roads were icy, was in a very bad crash. The car got totaled. By Krishna's blessings, husband and wife both were not even a little bit hurt. They just walked out. And he was sharing with me that his wife told him, immediately I remembered Krishna. But he said, for me, it took at least 2 minutes. Well, after calling 911, after the police, they said, I'm sending the ambulance to check out if anything. After doing all that, then he remembered about Krishna. And he's been studying Bhagavad Gita for 10, 15 years. So don't think it is something that is easy. Don't think, now I know the key to success. This life, I will eat, drink, be merry. Last minute, I will press the button. Entry into Vaikuntha. The doors will open. Not going to happen. So, how to remember Krishna always? Somebody said, we have to, Prabhuji said on the Zoom call, always remember Krishna. How to remember Krishna always? So while we are in this life, while we are alive and well, we have to remember Krishna. So that is why 8.7. Another very, very, didn't I say that already? 8. No, I didn't say that. I forgot to say. Very, very, very important verse. Absolutely important verse. I should have said a super seminal verse is 8.7. And another reason why you can find out that it is very important is what? By reading the verse. I want to teach you. She kind of gave away half of the clue. So what tells you that 8.7 is a very important verse? Look at it.
Without doubt.
No.
Sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara.
You actually forgot the most important word. It's the word before that. Tasmat. Whichever verses start with tasmat or have tasmat in it, either it will be in the first line or the second line. Second means in A or C. A, B, C, D. So it will either be in A or C. More important when it is in A. Those verses are very important. They are like your therefore verses. Tasmat means what? Therefore. So that's like a conclusive statement. It's like a conclusion. After the whole proof is written, the final result, which you put it in a box, isn't it? In textbooks, science books, you do a whole derivation, and then to get the final result, you put it in a box. And before the exam, what do? Do you do all the derivation, or just do you remember, try to memorize all the final results? All the boxes you try to memorize, isn't it? That is like tasmat. Tasmat is like a box. Wherever you see tasmat, you should draw a box yourself. So what is Lord Krishna saying? So please see the sequence. It's like a beautiful sequence. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam na asti atra sanshayah. That if you remember me, you will come to me. But if you remember something else, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyatante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Tasmat. Therefore, so he's already showing a big contrast. You want to come to me, you have to remember me. Whatever else you do, it's like, either you can be a millionaire or you can be a ruffian. The answer is obvious. Therefore, here is to become a millionaire. There's no need to say, therefore, millionaire is better. It's so obvious between 8.5 and 8.6 that 8.5 is so much more desirable. Therefore, tasmat, sarveshu kaleshu, all the time. And here comes the punchline. Mam anusmara yuddhacha. What does that mean? That means Mam Anusmara. Mam is what?
Lord Krishna.
Krishna. Again, third verse in a row where the word Smarana is coming. 8.5 it was there. Antakale cha mameva Smarana muktva. Yam yam vapi Smarana bhavan. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara. So the focus is about remembering. So therefore, at all times, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, mam, me, anusmara, you must remember me. And here comes the most important part, yuddha cha, because Arjuna's duty is what? To fight. And cha means what? Or?
Also,
Also, and fight. So remember me and fight, not or. Okay, and are you following? Please mute. I don't know who. So remember Krishna and do your duty. There is an and. Now the question is that possible for you? Maybe Arjuna, maybe he's a very talented person. Is that possible for us? Let me put it in more straightforward terms. Can you remember Krishna while writing software code? Many people here have software professions, right? How many of you have written code, software code? So you have some experience. You have, even if you have not written software code, while talking, whatever, doing some work which requires you to use your mind. Okay. Is it possible? Please tell me. Think about it for 30 seconds. Think about it. This is your day-to-day life. You are living your life. You're probably like, let's say 45. I'm just making a guess, roundabout, plus minus 5. Yeah. Right? So let's say you have another 45 years to live, let's say. Or maybe 55 or 100. I wish you live more than 100 years. Right? So pretty long time, and you're looking nice and healthy and fine. Life is good. How do we remember Krishna? During when times are good. Not when times, there is a nice saying, dukh mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. And then there is a follow-up line, jo sukh mein sumiran kare, to dukh kahe ko hoye. But the point is, remembering God when times are good. You have a body which is healthy, nice, situation is good. How do you remember Krishna? You're doing your software coding, you're getting nice salary. Life is good. Is it possible?
You can be thankful for.
I don't want theoretical answers.
Oh.
Not what it can be.
Okay.
So
for you specifically, is it possible? How many of you think it is not possible, or very, very, very hard, or you have no experience of it? So a lot of people in the room are raising their hands. So how is it possible?
Practice.
Very nice, very nice.
We covered the 9 things by which you can do the bhakti. Is that the answers or
Again, so let's not go into theory. Again, I will say it is theoretical. Let's say you do the 9 processes of bhakti or one of the 9 processes,
yeah.
and then you are doing your job, daily job. How is that practically going to give you an experience? How are you going to get an experience that it is possible? That is the question being asked. Is it possible to think about Krishna and do your duty at the same time?
I think feeling
is
of
hard.
gratitude should be there while we are doing our duty.
What experience do you have?
अगर हम सोच ले कि हम जो काम कर रहे हैं वो कृष्णा के लिए ही कर रहे हैं तो शायद हम हर समय कृष्णा को ही याद करेंगे.
Okay. So software code लिख रहे हैं. How can you think I'm writing software code for Krishna?
God put you in that situation, then now you have to write this.
Okay. So yes, I don't want to. So yes, you're all on the right track. I just want to give you a sense of how it is possible. Many people say that it is not possible to think about something else and do your duty at the same time. I want to tell you a little story. How many of you have had many of you are parents. How many of you have had a sick child at some time? Or I will increase the temperature a little bit. A very sick, very, very sick loved one in your life. Almost like a terminal situation. You've had somebody like that? My wife has had. Her mother passed away due to cancer a few years back. So in that situation, answer me this question. Can you think about that person and you're still doing your job? You have to go do your work. Are you able to think of that person or that concern for that person and do whatever you have to do, you are doing? But is the thought of that person constantly there in your mind? Yes or no?
Yes.
Aha, what an emphatic yes. Yes. Why is that? Why is that?
Because your attachment. or love.
Why is that? You said a very strong yes.
Because of the attachment and love.
And love, very nice. 2 words that I was exactly looking for. There is so much attachment and there is so much love for that person. And that thought of being separated from that person or losing that person is too unbearable. And that weighs on our minds. And that weighs on our minds regardless of whatever else we are doing. Regardless of whatever else we are doing, isn't it? But it doesn't mean you won't do your job. Maybe there is a slight drop in the focus. That is possible. Sometimes, you are not doing it so well. Your boss may come and ask you what's going on. I see some little drop in your output. Then you say, my, mother is, suffering from cancer and, whatever. And then he says, okay, fine, I understand. Hasn't it? Am I narrating a kind of a fairly practical situation? So yes, there may be a little bit drop in your output, but the point is, and that is for us, by the way, but it is possible to think about somebody whom we love very much, especially when we feel that when the separation from that person is unbearable, and do our work, whatever is given to us, whatever we have to do is the need of the time or the day, we can do that, isn't it? Are you all convinced about that part? Who is still not convinced? Yes. That brings us to the next part. So here I have said detailed analysis of 8.7 A and B. Okay. How to actually remember Krishna all the time. So a quick pause and we will go back to chapter 7. What was the most important instruction or verse of chapter 7? Who can tell?
Remembering Krishna at the time of death.
We did not talk about death in chapter 7.
Oh, 7. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. 7.14.
Bhajan for entire life.
7.14. Very nice. What does 7.14 say? Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. What does it mean? It means that this maya is very strong. Okay, so our attachments, our, whatever, like our job, everything in this example that I'm using is very strong, Yes, we have to put our focus in the job and this and that. But mam eva ye prapadyante, those who have fully surrendered to me, prapadyante means taken shelter of me, or in other words, those who love me very strongly with all their heart, maya metam tarantite, they can easily cross. Okay, so that was the most important instruction of chapter 7. So exactly the same thing is being said here. How to remember Krishna. And I gave an example as well, that somebody that you truly love, that you are very attached to, then it's no problem. So what is 8.7 saying in the next line? Mai arpita mano buddhir. That is the clue. Arpita means what? To offer, to surrender, to give. What is Krishna asking you to give him? Your what? Man and buddhi. Mano buddhir. That is the seat of our love, our emotions, our attachments. That you give it to Krishna. Basically, what it means is that in what mood should we remember Krishna? In the previous line, Lord Krishna is saying, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara. How to do ma manusmara? With mai arpita mano buddhir. Then you will be able to do yuddhacha. Just like in the example I told you. Because of that extreme love and attachment. And wouldn't you say that, whoever that loved one was, wouldn't you say that your mano buddhir mai arpita or tam arpita mano buddhir was happening or not in that case? Tam means to that person. Tam arpita mano buddhir was happening. That is why you were able to think, if your neighbor's mother is dying of cancer, you wouldn't, if you, let's say, don't know that person or your neighbor, it wouldn't matter because there is no arpita mano buddhir. Are you following? So that is the point. That we must develop mai arpita mano buddhir. We have our attachments to so many other people, which is fine. I'm not saying, and this is what I was saying, like when I was seeing off my kids, yeah, I know I'm going to be separated from them for 2 months. So that was there on my mind all day today. I was still doing my work, making these slides and reading up and preparing, but it was always weighing upon my mind. Oh, at 5 o'clock they will leave, at 5 o'clock they will leave, at 5 o'clock they will leave. I was thinking about that constantly all day. But I was doing whatever I was doing. So I had that part of that experience. I had it right today. Okay. So that is the mood in which we should remember Krishna. We must develop that kind of love and attachment to Krishna. That is very, very important. That is the real way of remembering Krishna. Not like lip service, namesake. Oh, okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's like that's very nice, but it's just very. There can be. I am guilty of that myself, so I can say with 100% confidence that it is possible for people to do that because I have done that. Very, very, very shallow level. Not at the same level that we love our family members, our dear friends or family. Okay. So not as a lip service, but from the heart. And then what is the last line? Mam evaishyasi, you will attain me. Mam evaishyasi. And again, Krishna is doubling down. Asamshaya, there is no doubt. But no doubt that you will attain Krishna will only happen when it is from the heart. Mano buddhir. Not as a lip service. Not like in the morning. Oh, okay, done. All right. Or not with a wish list. Even if it is unsaid, in the mind there is, I love you, but I really love my child, please make him, if he's sick, make him well, or make him, whatever. Get a good job, get admission in nice college, school, this. There's just a pretense that you love Krishna, but you love somebody else more. And Krishna is very kind, though he's saying only. It doesn't mean that one should stop loving others. But yes, one must develop so much love for Krishna that he does become the number one person. He does become the number one person, even more than your family members. So it's not about leaving the family members alone and, quitting them. But yes, it is about loving Krishna more than you love anybody else in your life. When can we reach that stage? Can we reach that tomorrow? 6 months? How many of you can reach that stage in 6 months? 1 year? Anybody? 10 years? 20 years? Some maybe.
After birth, I guess.
After birth? No, I'm talking about this life.
We may need many births to attain that kind of love.
But I heard some maybes in 20 years. So that's the first call, so to say, when we see the sort of first sign of life, as we say, light at the end of the tunnel. The tunnel is at least 20 years long, at least in the little experiment we did here.
Yeah, at least if we try harder and harder, more and more.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. So how do you start? That is the question. Where to start? Do you want to start today? When do you want to start? Let me ask that question.
This moment.
Now, today.
Today or 6 months or 20 years? When do you want to start?
Now.
Today.
From this moment.
Today, isn't it? So that answer is at least today. We may attain it in
This second.
at least 20 years, let's say, or more. It could take less also, but definitely it's not going to be overnight. Definitely not. It's going to take some substantial time. For some people, it may happen before 20 years, if they are really serious. But generally, it's a long time. It is usually said it's a lifetime, but it is possible within one's life. So where do you start? That is the question. How to start? What is the first step? So, or what is the process? So, like many of you just said, the process is practice. If you want to become a Sachin Tendulkar, if I ask a child, how many years it will take you to become Sachin Tendulkar? What will be the answer? Overnight? It will also be in that range, 10, 15, 20 years of practice. Isn't it? Then you can have a hope that yes, when I play a match and when I'm in the last final match, and in the last ball of the last over, I'll be required to hit a 6. I have a hope. And it starts with practice. Practicing from today. And that is exactly what Lord Krishna says in 8.8. What is the first word of 8.8? Abhyas. What is abhyas? Practice. Practice or training, either way. So, abhyasa yoga yuktena. Chetasa na anyagamina. Again, the word is coming, na anyagamina. So when you are practicing, in what way you have to practice? Very, very focused practice. Like Arjuna, when Dronacharya asked, what do you see when he was aiming at the eye of that toy bird? What did Arjuna say? I only see the eye of the bird. I see nothing else. And that's the time when he was, getting ready to, that was actually at the end of his practice. That is when Dronacharya said, okay, you are qualified. You have got the certificate. You have completed your degree. So, abhyasa yoga yuktena. So, abhyasa, it's a yoga. Yoga means it's a lifelong process. Not a lifelong, it's a long process. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. Chetasa. Cheta means your mind. Chetasa na anya. Na anya gamina means na anya gamina. Kahin aur mat jane dena. Gamina means to go. Gaya. Chala gaya. Na anya gaya. Don't let it walk away anywhere else. Keep it focused. Focused on who or what? On Krishna. And this is where the link between dhyana and bhakti begins. So this is now in the middle of the verse number 8. We move from, so the main topic is done here. And the focus now, Krishna changes to focus on Paramatma. That Paramam Purusham Divyam is referring to Paramatma. Because that was the topic of which chapter?
Seventh chapter?
6. Dhyana Yoga. So you must all revise. If you're seriously doing Bhagavad Gita, be like seriously committed students. Everything by now should be on your tips. Now, of course, it takes practice. I have been doing this for a few years, so it's easier. But try to, revise. This is a very important journey that we are all on together. Okay, don't treat it like, okay, I wanted to do this fun course on YouTube. I'll just, go through the videos and, okay, checkbox, I've done Bhagavad Gita. So when I says that, okay, where Lord Krishna talks about Paramatma, which is the one chapter where he focuses on that most, you should immediately be able to at least say 6, though that is not the highest level of knowing Bhagavad Gita. Lot more you have to know. If I tell you any verse number, or if I give you the starting point of a verse, you should immediately be able to tell me, at least if you don't memorize the verse, and memorization is no point unless you can tell what is being said, the content. So any verse number I tell you, you should be able to tell, oh, this verse means this, or at least this is what is being said. Then you can be said, okay, yes, you know Bhagavad Gita a little bit more. Okay, so at least chapter you should be able to tell, if not the specific verse. Okay. So here Lord Krishna is bringing back the focus on Paramatma. Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Parthanu Chintayan. So my dear Partha, you must Chintayan. Chintayan means meditate on the Paramatma. So the focus now changes to focusing the mind on Paramatma, which is the link between Dhyana and Bhakti. Because in Dhyana Yoga Chapter 6, that was the focus. Okay. But let's quickly review what has Lord Krishna said from 8.5 in 4 verses, or 4.5 verses, 5, 6, 7, sorry, 3.5 verses, 8.5. What has Lord Krishna covered? Remembering him at the time of death, one goes to him. Remembering anything else, you attain that nature. Therefore, you must remember Krishna at the time of death. But how can you remember him at the time of death if you have not remembered him all your life? So therefore, you must remember him throughout your life. Only then you can remember him at the time of death. Like, the only way to hit a 6 on the last ball is you have practiced all your life. Don't just think you'll be able to, hit the jackpot without doing practice. So therefore, throughout this life, sarveshu kaleshu, you have to remember Krishna. And how to remember Krishna? Not like lip service, but with love and attachment. Just like we remember, and I gave this example of our family members and so on. Okay, like that we must remember. We must feel that fire of separation with Krishna. Is Krishna right here sitting next to you?
Yes.
Huh? Where?
Yeah,
Feel the presence.
Yeah, do you feel the presence?
He's right next to us. We don't know that.
Okay, thank you for saying that. You don't know that. So yes, he may be next to us, but if you don't know that, then there's no use. Then you don't have access to Krishna. So till that happens, till you feel his presence, that fire of separation should burn in the heart. Just like, for example, right now, like my kids have gone, or there's some separation. Oh, right? So like that, the fire of separation has to burn in the heart due to Krishna not being present, or we not being able to perceive his presence in reality. And how that happens is by focused, dedicated, from the heart, remembering Krishna, practicing to remember Krishna throughout this life. We can start by our practice. So now that is what we covered so far in these 3.5 verses. Now we will make quicker progress on the next 5 verses, 8.9 to 8.13. Very beautiful verses, but there Lord Krishna is saying how to make progress. One can start by thinking about Paramatma, focusing on Paramatma, but that's not the recommendation. Don't go away from the class here taking that as the take-home message, that focus on Paramatma. There is another very important verse coming up a little bit later. So, but Lord Krishna says for a yogi, think about me, but in the same way as you would have thought about Paramatma. Okay? So the process, Lord Krishna is saying, is the same. The method is the same that you had in 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga. But instead of focusing on Paramatma, focus on me, on Krishna as Bhagavan. Murali Manohar, the one who has a flute and, as Krishna. That is the essence of these 5 verses, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So let us read these verses. So, and as you read these verses, you will see the parallels between Dhyana Yoga and these verses. So let us read these. So these verses are very beautiful to recite as well. So I will just recite this. Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram Manoranishyam Aniyamsham Anusmaredhyah Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. And the next one, Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva Bhuvora Madhye Pranam Aveshya Samyak Satam Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam. So like this, Lord Krishna is saying that one should meditate upon that supreme person as the one who knows everything. He who is the oldest, he who is the controller, who is the smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. And then what is he saying in the 10th verse? Lord Krishna is saying, one who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion. Bhaktya yukto. So that bhaktya word was not there in the 6th chapter. Here it is being introduced. Bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva. So his Lord is in kind of doing this bhakti dhyana. Remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then 11th, persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter the Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. 12th, the yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So here in the Sanskrit, if you see, you will see Vyaharan Mam Anusmarana in 8.13, Mam Anusmarana. So again, Krishna is talking about remembering him. All right. So you could see some parallels between Dhyana Yoga and this, isn't it? Now, of course, you need to revise chapter 6 to be able to see the parallel. But I'm telling you, even if you have forgotten chapter 6, there are parallels in how one does dhyana. But the focus here is to do dhyana with bhakti and remembering Krishna. Ma manusmarana. Again, that is coming up. Are you following? So then the question is, okay, the object of dhyana has changed from something else to Krishna. The object of meditation or of our smarana has changed from something else to Krishna, Ma Manusmarana. Correct? But rest of it remains similar. So what is the difference? Is it just a repetition and only the object of meditation has changed? Is it that? Or is there a difference? What is the difference? There is a difference, I'm telling you. Otherwise, first of all, Krishna would not be repeating it. Second of all, this is Bhakti Dhyan.
With love.
And I am telling you, thirdly, that there is a difference. Now the question is, what is the difference?
With love.
With love, okay, that's a good point. The aspect of love was absent in 6th chapter, in Dhyana. Very true.
Instead of practicing, instead of doing it to other gods and only do
that I'm already saying, the object of our meditation has changed from something else to Krishna. Yes. So that's what it seems you are also saying.
So it's more
Other than that, what is the difference? Apart from that,
Constant remembering.
there also it is constant remembrance.
So this is more bhakti, more.
That's what she also said. There is more love. Bhakti and love are kind of synonymous.
So not focusing on the results
Result,
of the
that's
things.
right.
Or what do you mean?
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So in dhyana, you wanted to attain a certain stage,
Hmm.
to see the brahman or something. But in bhakti yoga, there is no anticipation what will happen.
Very nice. So there is no anticipation of the result. The joy is in the process. You love your child because you love your child, not because when he will grow big, then he will give me his money. Half of his salary will come to me and I will enjoy free of cost. I will go around the world on his expense. Correct? That's not why you raise a child, isn't it? You raise a child because it's joyful to do so, not because there is any end goal there. any hidden agenda. So yes, there is a personal agenda in Dhyana Yoga. I want to attain Paramatma. I want to see Paramatma. I want to go to Vaikuntha. Here in Bhakti, there is no desire to go anywhere. It is just genuine, pure love of Krishna. Okay, what else? There are a couple of other important points. So let me tell you, I don't expect you to, because we have not covered it. Yes?
In Dhyan, like, you're renouncing everything else. At least in Bhakti, like, you're doing your duty while you're...
Very nice point. Excellent point. In Dhyana, you have to renounce everything else. That is Dhyana Yoga. That's the fundamental point of Dhyana Yoga, that you do. Dhyana Yoga means complete renunciation of everything, including all action itself, what to speak of results of action. You have to stop action. You have to pretty much die. Samadhi. Samadhi is almost like a death stage, There is no difference externally between a person in Samadhi and a dead person. Medically, they would say he is dead. There are so many, yogis and all like this, doctor will come and say no pulse, nothing, but he is in Samadhi. After 2 days, he'll walk up and stand up and start walking. Doctor will say, what happened? He was, okay. So complete cessation of activity. Yes, true. That is not needed in Bhakti. Okay, anyway, so the fundamental point in all of this is that a very strict focus of mind is not needed. All right? To give up all action, a very strong control of mind is needed, isn't it so? Such a strong control to which even Arjuna said, no, I cannot do. Please tell me what happens if I fail, because I'm definitely going to fail. You remember that section, last section of chapter 6? So it was such a strong focus of the mind that was needed that even Mr. Arjuna, who is such a talented, such a great person in terms of controlling his mind, he also said, no, sorry. Correct? So this is one big difference. And why is mind control not needed? Wait, just now we said you have to always Mai Arpita Mano Buddhir Mam Anusmara Sarveshu Kaleshu Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara. All the time you have to remember me. Not only you have to remember me like in a shallow way, Mai Arpita Mano Buddhir, you have to remember me. Doesn't it require control of the mind?
The surrendering aspect.
You have to make it a way of life.
Well, even there also you have to make it a way of life. There are the previous 7 stages of Ashtanga Yoga: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, all those, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, then Samadhi comes.
But performing all your duties also.
Yeah. So the answer is,
There it's only the person's effort in Dhyana, your Krishna.
yes. So the answer is because, and here comes the very, very important verse, 8.14. So we discussed till 8.13. 8.14 is another super, super seminal verse. So let us do a detailed analysis of 8.14. It says, Ananya chetaha satatam yo mam smarati. Again, smaran. The smaran word is coming like at least 10 times. So far, we are done only with half the chapter. Ananya chetaha. Again, the word ananya. What does ananya mean? Huh? Your wife?
Always.
What does it mean? Ananya.
Unique. Only.
Unique. Only. Ananya. Anya means what? Other. Ananya means no other, which means only this. Ananya. Chetaha. Cheta means your mind or heart. Satatam yo mam smarati. Nityashaha. Again, Nitya is like a synonym of Satatam. Again, Krishna is like putting double, triple emphasis. So for those who are always remembering me or always doing the practice of remembering me, who are beginning, who are having at least the desire to do, take the first few steps. The next line is the kicker, is the punchline. Tasya, tasyaham means tasya aham. Sulabha partha. What does sulabha mean?
Easy.
Easy. So tasya aham sulabha partha. I make myself easy to obtain. It's like the goalpost, for a child, he's trying to play football or soccer, as you call it. And just to help the child, the coach or whatever, he makes the goalpost, the goal bigger. He helps. So he wants to see, it's in Dhyana Yoga, is that you have to do it all alone, all the way. What Krishna wants to see in Bhakti, the difference is, we were talking about difference, isn't it? What is the difference? The difference is in Bhakti, Krishna wants to see your sincere desire to start off and the willingness to complete the process all by yourself. Yes, he wants to see that willingness in you, that you don't demand Krishna's help, or you don't use it as a sort of a cheating or as a shortcut. You start walking the journey as if you are going to do it all alone, with that level of seriousness and sincerity. You start off. But Krishna is saying, the moment I see that sincerity, I see that seriousness, I come closer. The journey becomes shorter. That is the difference between bhakti and dhyana. The biggest difference. Tasya aham sulabha partha. I make myself easy to obtain. Nitya yuktasya yoginaha. So I'm doing a detailed surgery of all these verses because these are all super, super, super important verses of the Bhagavad Gita. This is the heart of Bhagavad Gita that we are in right now. Okay. So that is the point, because Krishna makes himself easy to obtain to his dedicated devotees, but he does want to see that full dedication. Okay. But and it's not a statement of encouragement or some motivation. Chalo beta, chalo, chalo, chalo. I will, but the father, doesn't really mean it. In his heart, he knows the child has to walk his own way. Nee, I'll help you. It's not just some pep talk, is what I'm saying. He really means it. He actually makes himself easier. In fact, more than that, he picks up the devotee and carries him. There is a very nice analogy that is given by our acharyas. You know why baby monkeys die more than baby cats, kittens? Why? Who can see the difference?
The baby is attached, the baby monkey is attached to the mother, whereas the cat is carrying the baby.
In the monkey's case, usually what happens is the baby holds the mother. So it falls down sometimes more easily. But a kitten never falls. Why it doesn't fall? Because the mother holds the kitten. The kitten just is like all it does is loves the mother. That's all it does. And out of that love, the mother, but this little baby monkey is like a dhyana yogi. To make sure he doesn't fall, he has to do all the effort to hold very tightly. But the baby kitten, all it has to do is to love the mother. Now it's the mother's job to make sure I don't fall. Very nice example also is given by Srila Prabhupada and others. In America, we have this, at least In India, that concept is not so, maybe there now, but earlier, like of a pet dog. Here, almost every household has a pet. And what is a dog? If you see, we say kutta hai sala. Kutta, like, you talk in a derogatory term, right? But what we talk about it in a derogatory term, kutta hai wo to. Or sometimes say kutte ki maut marega. Like it's like a bad thing. But what does it, if you come here and you see, what does a dog do to deserve so much love? I have talked to some of my Western friends. They have, and truly, like, they have so much love for the dog. They will not, buy an ice cream and eat it alone. They will buy two, if they have a dog, they will buy two ice creams, one for the dog, one, just like a child. Wherever they go, the dog will go with them. It's like a part of your family. What has the dog done? It is not even born from your womb. It's not even the same species. What has the dog done to deserve such deluxe treatment? Yeah, whenever the master comes home in the evening, he just jumps on the master and starts licking the face. Isn't it? Just shows complete love to the master, isn't it? And what does he get in return? Everything. What else has a dog done? Once in a while, if a stranger comes home, then he will bark. That's all. That also is not needed in such a safe country like America, and with all the, there's no robberies or anything like that. People don't keep dogs to keep strangers away. That's not the reason why people keep dogs. People keep dogs because of companionship, for the love that they show. So it's not an unknown concept, and Krishna, this is not some alien concept. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada says we all have to become like dogs of Krishna. Then Krishna will, make us part of his family. Pretty good deal. Okay. So that is 8.14. Very, very, very important verse. And I did not realize we are already at 6:55. So now I saw some hands which I have been ignoring for a long time. So now is your chance to ask questions. So, yes, Jai Krish, did you raise your hand?
Oh yeah, I did. So I have like a question. So
Go ahead.
when you like have your body with your soul in it, is it like you're kept inside a box to control it, and then after you quit the body, you get returned back to your spiritual father or go to another life?
Yes.
Just like,
Yeah, you can think about it like that.
oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Yes, you are in a box, but the original place is in the spiritual world.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Thanks. What other questions are there? So I see one question on the chat. Let me take that while others raise their hands or think of other questions. So Hare Krishna Prabhuji, if someone makes some spiritual progress in this life, and I heard that they can continue where they left in the immediate human life. So if someone could not think of Lord Krishna at the time of death, but thinking about the pain of death or family members, very important question, by the way, family members or some material work that was pending, like maybe, not like material, some software project that was pending, but many material things like, for a dying father, if the daughter is unmarried, that could be like, something that one may think, oh, I'm leaving some important life project to be finished. For a son, it would be like to see him settled in a business or a job or something, or get married, or something like that. So, yeah. So, or some material work that was pending, then that person would get a non-human life or a human life. Very, very nice question. So, Let me prevent this from happening again. So, same question, exact same question, not in exact same words, was asked by a great Acharya, great Acharya. Have you all heard the name of Srila Ramanujacharya? The, sort of the number one Acharya in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. And very, very, very prominent and like a giant Acharya. His words are like lines in stone. He asked the same thing to because he knew that people will ask this question. And he asked this question to his deity, Srila Varadarajan. And the deity answered gave the following answer. The deity said, if you have loved me from your heart, and there can be many situations where one cannot remember Krishna at the time of death. Maybe you are unconscious, maybe, something happens, or it could be something like this, that you have sincerely practiced throughout your life, but there is some ailment or something else bothering you at the time of death. And you happen to remember that at the final moment. In any of those situations, or if you are in a coma or unconscious or whatever else, Varadarajan, the Lord himself, Varadaraj is none other than Lord Vishnu, said that if my devotee does not remember me or is unable to remember me, does not remember me out of choice, but due to some reason is unable to remember me, no worry, I will remember him. And I will personally pick him up and take him with me. Personally, I will pick him up and take him with me. So what Lord Krishna is looking for, it's not like a test. The examples I have given so far, Sachin Tendulkar and this and that, they're all like material tests. Doesn't it happen that sometimes Tendulkar also fails, even after doing 20 years of practice? Is it guaranteed? Have you heard, by the way, there's this famous guy. I don't know, his name is not very popular in sports. Have you heard of this guy called Sergei Bubka? How many of you have heard that name?
Russian pole vault.
Pole vault. What is special about him? Do you know?
He broke his records every time.
That is fine. That is the easy part to remember. He broke his world record 30 times.
Yeah.
Like he was the undisputed leader of pole vault. Undisputed, like literally. Like more undisputed than my kids played chess. So what is this latest chess guy? Magnus Carlsen. Like more undisputed than him as he is in chess. Like he's like the undisputed leader of chess. He was 10 times more undisputed in his sport. He only broke his own record. Like there was no other record to break. And in one of the Olympics, this, I don't know if you remember, but that's the point I'm trying to make. 88 or 84, 88 or 92 or something. He was like, if in the entire Olympic Games, if there was one gold medal which you could bet your money on who will win, I would put my money on this guy. There is absolutely no second. Everybody else was competing for the silver medal. Gold medal to like is not even in question. And that guy and there was no fitness problem. He was not like having any knee injury or this injury or that injury. He was in perfect health. He did not even qualify for the last 8. What is known as the heats round. He did not even qualify for the last 8. Happens. That is the material world. The pole vault god, whoever is the god of pole vault, cannot come and say, you do your practice. And even if you fail in the last moment, I will come and carry you. That does not happen in the material world. That's the point I'm trying to make. But in spiritual practice, you cannot have a situation like Sergei Bubka. You do your practice. You don't even have to be so great as Sergei Bubka in that example. You just have to have the seriousness. and then Krishna will himself pick you up if you slip in the last moment. He will not let you fall down. You may slip, but you won't fall. You won't crash. There is actually a verse which I was waiting for the 12th chapter when we reach, but I want to cover it today. Please open 12.7. 6 and 7 are combined, but I want to show you one word. It is in the similar theme, but an extremely inspiring word. Are you all following? 12.6 and 7. So just assume for the moment that this verse can easily be taken out of the 12th chapter and fit into the 8th chapter where we are right now. And I want to focus on the Sanskrit. The Sanskrit is just absolutely beautiful. It's out of the world. Of course, it is out of the world because it is coming out of Krishna's mouth. But let us just do a little bit surgery on the Sanskrit. Are you all ready? Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha. In short, I won't do a full surgery. One who has dedicated all his activities, everything to me, sarvani karmani mai sanyasya, has given up, has sanyasya means to give up, to me, all his activities, matparaha. Ananyenaiva, again ananya, ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate, who has always been thinking about me, dhyayanta, same thing as smarana. Are you following with me? Are you all with me?
Yes.
Mam dhyayanta upasate, who has always been thinking about me all the time, exclusively. So this is what the devotee is doing, surrendering all the work, everything to Krishna and always thinking of me. Next line, Tesham aham samudharta. Samudharta is the word I was telling you about. Samudharta means the one who picks up from a fallen stage. Mrityu samsara sagarat. From this Mrityu samsara sagar, from this sagar of Mrityu samsara, I pick him. Tesham aham. Usko main utha leta hu. That person I pick up. That is what the literal meaning is of Tesham aham samudharta. I pick him up. From where? From where? Mrityu samsara sagar. Bhavami na chirat partha. Na chirat. What is chira? Chira means what?
Forever.
Short time.
No. Yeah, what is Chiranjeevi?
Yeah,
Chiranjeevi Bhava. Chira means long time. Na chira means what? Not long. Huh? So not long. Bhavami na chirat partha. And I don't take time in doing this. It's not like he's falling down and I'm coming. Abhi ruko aate hain. Just wait. No, he comes immediately to pick you up. Mai aveshita chetasam. For the one whose cheta, whose mind is focused on me or has been focused on me. So Lord Krishna is giving this promise. It's a promise he's making. He's making a very, very strong assertion here that if you just do this practice, sincerely you do the practice, leave the rest to me. So Krishna is saying, I am the mother cat in this picture that I showed you. He is the mother cat. You will not fall. Okay, so that is the answer, long answer to the question. Reena and Darsh, do you have your hand raised?
Hi, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My question is, we understood the difference between bhakti and dhyan. So does that mean that bhakti is better than dhyan, or is just a way of choosing a route to obtain Lord Krishna, what one would like to do?
No, absolutely not. We pointed out so many differences between bhakti and dhyan.
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm.
And I will share the slide again. The difference between bhakti and dhyan is just like we are the baby. Which situation you want to be in? The cat situation or the monkey situation?
Cat situation.
Yes, that is bhakti.
Right.
Ah,
I follow that. My question is,
Go ahead.
can one choose to be in a monkey's route, that I will do what I can and just do the dhyan to obtain Lord Krishna?
That is
It could be a harder route.
No, but that is bhakti. I'm not following what different you will do. Are you saying you will artificially remove the love from your heart?
No. So it's progression, right? That means
Love and attachment for Krishna, which is what we know as asakti and bhava and prema, Sanskrit words for
love.
attachment, feeling, and love. Literal translations of asakti, bhava, and prema. Are you saying that you want to meditate on God or Paramatma, but completely devoid of any attachment or feeling or love for that Paramatma or Bhagavan? That would make it dhyana.
Right. So I was trying to drive more from the Rishi Muni or someone who is taking samadhi and just doing the dhyan, versus someone who is engrossed in their worldly duty and still remembering Krishna with love and doing the smaran.
Correct. So the latter, what you said, is bhakti.
Right.
And that is far more easier than dhyana. Far more easier than dhyan in any age, especially in Kali Yuga, when our minds are so uncontrolled. Try reading 5 pages of a serious book without getting distracted. These days we are so distracted, that our attention span is equal to like one tweet, 140 characters.
Agree.
So with that, such a short attention span, this age of Kali is known as Manda Buddhi stage, or the age of Manda Buddhi. Our minds are completely out of our control. Therefore, to develop, but still we love our children very much, even though our minds are not in our control. So that love is the route which can make us focus on Bhagavan Krishna far more easily than if we are asked to focus with no love. Like if you have been, like some people take up some projects, I want to become a doctor, or I want to write this exam, some chartered accountant or something, and then they are studying for like 6 or 7 exams. They're not, that interest and love is not there, and you're like struggling to put your mind on it and be successful.
Got it.
Much harder. But for someone who is so much interested, and we can in the material world, we get some sense about it, what we call as passion or enthusiasm. Some people, like, I don't know if you say Elon Musk or something, he's maybe, he's the one who is willing to live in his factory because he loves his, of course, maybe because it's his factory, he has a major stake in it, and he's has billions to make or lose. I don't know what's driving him. But, unless there is that deep love, it is very difficult to focus. You cannot tell your employees, oh, see, look, I am sleeping in the factory. And every, one of his quotations was, every waking hour is a working hour. So basically, only take time to sleep. Every other time, you have to work. How can that level of commitment come? That is Dhyana Yoga. You're forcing somebody to do that level of dhyana without the attachment. But somebody who's attached, who has love, will easily be able to do it.
Right.
So yes, that level of dhyan was possible in other ages when, in Satyuga or Dwapar Yoga or Treta Yoga, when the mind was more controlled. In Kali Yuga, you can try, but you could fall. You'll try to hold on. You'll try to hold on like the baby monkey. The mother jumps from one branch to the other, the monkey baby falls.
Got it.
Some situation will arise, something will happen, and you might get deviated. So try to develop the love for Bhagwan, and the practice for the developing of love will be covered in the 9th chapter, which I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, is Bhakti squared. Bhakti superimposed over Bhakti. We will learn all about how to develop, what are the steps to develop the love for Krishna in our life. That love also needs to be developed. Just like you get a puppy, we gave the example of dog. When you first get a puppy, of course, you don't produce a puppy. Human beings cannot produce a puppy. So you go get a puppy from somewhere else. That level of love on day 1 is very minimal, is 0. If that puppy dies on day 0, you will probably not feel anything. Isn't it? But over time, the love develops. How to develop that same love for Krishna? Not that love, not dog's love. I'm saying how to develop love. The point I'm trying to make is love is developable. It can be developed. It's not like, oh, I don't have love, so I'm a lost cause. That is not the case. Bhakti is like, it is called Bhakti Lata. Lata means a creeper. It's a plant. If you water the plant nicely, if you do take care of the plant, what will it do? It will grow nicely. If you leave it out to dry, it will die. So Bhakti is like a creeper. You following?
Yes.
All right.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any other questions. So we will stop here. We will continue chapter 8 next time. Majority of the important portion of chapter 8 has been covered. So we'll see if we want to start chapter 9 next time or not. That is TBD. Another important announcement, next week, there is no class. 2 weeks from now. So next week we will have a class. But the week after, no class. No Bhagavad Gita class. Okay, a very, 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 my dear friend and a very senior Vaishnava is visiting Portland. I invite all of you, if possible, to come and attend his classes. These will not be on Zoom. These will only be in person. His name is Hari Parshad Das. Very accomplished scholar and a genuine Vaishnava by nature as well. And we are having the great fortune of having his visit in Portland. He is a young person, younger than me. He's just 40 years old, but age is not the point. Shukadev Goswami was 16 years old when he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, who was much older than him. Even his son Janmejaya was older than Parikshit Maharaj. So age is not the point. So anyway, if you are on the temple email list, you will receive the email. My wife manages that. If you want to be on the ISKCON Portland temple email list, you can let me know and she can add you. But all the details of his visit will be sent on that. But this is a golden opportunity to meet and associate with somebody extremely of a very, very high stature. Okay, so that's what's going to happen in 2 weeks. But next Sunday, we'll see you all again. If you are in Portland, come in person. We'll, have, some in-person, just informal discussions or talks. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I'm going to close.
Hare Krishna.